Geek Tank Radio, News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. Today's episode of Geek Tank Radio is brought to you by the Moss Isley Sand Whale Steakhouse, the driest fish in the galaxy. I don't know, Allan.
He wonders why I don't say anything nice about him. He books us in such wonderful locations.
And you either get this one or you don't, folks. We're on the cutting edge. Let's say it.
Based on that scene, that's perfect, Joe. I'm going to give you
that one.
We're going to give you that one.
That
knocked
one.
it out of the park.
Didn't even give you the spoiler warning on that one. But anyway, welcome to Geek. And I think Jeremy's just looking at us with a glazed look. He doesn't know what that reference
I think
is.
he doesn't care. It's Saturday morning.
Anyway, welcome to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And
I'm not behind the glass. I'm tucking into some fish.
Okay, even he's chiming in. Boy, everybody's in a mood. You know, sometimes there's a weird energy in the studio and you get interesting results. Brandon hasn't stopped complaining about everything on today.
The only things I've complained about are you, and I don't really think it's complaining when you say true statements.
Okay. Well, anyway, we got our buddy. It's that time of the month, you guys. Really?
You know, Joe, you just want to alienate everybody, don't you?
We got our buddy Jeremy Veldman from the Memphis Astronomical Society in the studio because Jeremy, next week we're going to be getting you in regularly as we used to do in the past to. You're the president of the Memphis Astronomical Society, and once a month, all the geeks, all the space geeks get together and hold meetings. They're very interesting, and so we want people to show up for these meetings. And so next Friday is a new one. So what's on tap for the MAS?
Yeah, June 3rd is our next meeting, and we're back to Zoom this time. And the reason is because, I know, before you guys complain.
Okay. Thought we're done with the Zoom stuff, but okay.
Right, we're in and out of Zoom. Now, Friday, we've got a speaker from Dallas, Texas, who has a practical talk on imaging planets using a Dobsonian telescope. Now, we get a lot of demand for astrophotography stuff. We try to do one once a quarter, and this is a great talk. If you're considering getting into the hobby of astroimaging or astrophotography, this is a good presentation. The speaker, he images planets using a Dobsonian telescope, and he's going to talk about his gear, his setup, his software, his post-processing, basically the whole 9 yards. Now, it sounds complicated, but he's only been doing it for 3 years. So you can learn this too.
Wow. Okay, now all of us, of course, know what a Dobsonian telescope is. But for the layman out there, Jeremy, what is a Dobsonian? Because that's a very specific term you just used. So
Right. It's basically a telescope that uses mirrors. You have a large primary mirror at the bottom that gathers light, and then it focuses it through a secondary mirror out the side. Okay, I'll spare you the details. It's basically a giant light bucket, and it's the most practical and simplest telescope for beginners. I own a 10-inch. Most of us, if you're getting started, 8 or 10 inches is a good place to start. You can use it for everything. Planetary, deep sky objects. I was looking at it last night, star clusters, galaxies, things like that. Okay. But it's good for, it's a very easy telescope to set up. Usually can have it set up within 5 minutes. And very easy to use.
It's funny, Jeremy. Now, when you're saying the 10-inch, you're talking about the size of the lens, right? Because that thing's a lot bigger than that.
No,
right?
no lenses here. Again, we're using mirrors, not lenses, to gather light. 10 inches is the diameter of the mirror at the back of the tube that gathers the light. The larger the mirror, the more light it can gather.
Okay, that's why the old James Webb is this massive, with all the honeycomb. So Jeremy, because I've seen these setups, and we've gone to some of your observing sessions, like over there at Shelby Farms, and there's a lot of different styles, but I always hear you talking about this Dobsonian thing, and to me, it looks complicated, but honestly, I guess it's not, right? It's
very simple. It's not flashy. I mean, you got other guys out there that have these giant refractors that use lenses, and those are expensive. You also have the Schmidt-Cassegrain type telescopes, which is basically a folded mirror design that has a corrector plate on the front. I'll spare you the details. Those are, if you have the money, those are the types of telescopes to get, the Schmidt-Cassegrain types, because they're smaller, they're more compact, they're very powerful, longer focal length, great for planetary stuff. The Dobsonian is cheap, and it's the best bang for your buck in terms of aperture size. But without getting into too many details, the speaker Friday is going to show you how to image planets with a Dobsonian.
Okay,
and
take pictures.
Basically take pictures, yeah.
So, because to me, it seemed I kind of wonder what they did in the old days. Like I've seen that old black and white photo from that eclipse. What was it, the 1890 something eclipse, where they took. For one thing, I was like, how did they do that in those days? But these days, I guess it's probably easier. But how does that work? Are you actually pointing a camera through a lens, or are you tying the camera in digitally, or like?
Well, you have cameras now that are basically CCD cameras. They have chips in them, so it's not. It's not like the old days where you had glass plates or anything. So you just you can, for a fairly cost-effective expense, you can have basically a camera that just attaches to your telescope, gathers the photons, and then you do the processing later. I'm not an expert on this, but the point being, the equipment is out there now, relatively cost-effective. We're talking maybe a few $100,
right?
Where you can take some pretty spectacular images. And by the way, your iPhone will. I mean, you can buy a simple device that just attaches to the eyepiece of a telescope and just take some pictures with your iPhone. That's kind of where your journey into astrophotography starts. You look through the eyepiece, you see something really cool. You're like, oh, I want to take a picture of that. And then it's kind of hard to do that with your phone. So then you get a device where you can attach your phone to the eyepiece and take a picture. And then you kind of morphs from there to essentially a chip in a can. Yeah. For a more simple way to say it for imaging these things.
I mean, it's very cool. Like, and I love these apps too. Like, basically, what I would see at these sessions, these observing sessions, you have several telescopes set up, and usually the guys will point like the camera. They'll have that app. What is it? The Sky something. It tells you where everything is. Like, you point it up and you go, okay, Jupiter's over there.
Right. Sky Safari, Stellarium, there's several of them.
Then you set the telescope and get it pointed and you get it configured. And then I saw them. They almost clip the iPhone, or
Right.
Does the Android work, or is it only iPhone?
Oh, you can do it with you can do it with an iPhone, Android, any phone that has a camera.
Any smartphone.
Yeah, any smartphone.
Okay, so these are practical things so that anybody can. Okay. And the title cracked me up, though. You said imaging with a Dobsonian 10-inch lens. I'm like, that sounds like a very niche, geeky, space nerd kind of title.
Very specific talk, right?
But you guys don't do just one subject. I thought in the meetings I've gone to, Jeremy, there's usually a talk, an intermission where you get all the good snacks that you guys bring, and then a second talk. Is that right?
Now we know why Joe's upset about going Zoom.
It's all about
Zoom,
the intermission.
You don't get the blueberry muffins. So
okay,
see, you guys got to start putting a link on your site so that he can get those DoorDashed.
Yeah,
so while he watches.
Yeah, but no, the meeting, the meetings in place, Jeremy. I mean, for one thing, it's the camaraderie. It's all the interesting conversation, but it is. There is something to be said with the networking possibilities too. You meet all sorts of interesting people.
Absolutely. Well, the general theme that we're on now is the practical aspect of astronomy. There's some really spectacular celestial events coming up, including June 24, which is an alignment of planets.
Okay.
If you're an early
that's
riser.
The one we've been hearing about, right?
Well, if you're an early riser on Friday, June 24, you'll see 5 planets in alignment. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and actually Uranus is in that mix too. So when you say an alignment, though, you're saying basically, okay, if I'm correct, that means you could look through your binoculars or your telescope or any lens, and they're all within that range. No, you don't even need any equipment. You see it with your naked eye. You get up,
but they're
4:45 in the morning. You see, with the naked eye, you see 5 planets in alignment.
Okay, and that's pretty rare.
Pretty rare.
Because if you look at how they orbit, the odds that they're all going to be, even just aligning with Mars or something, is unusual. You get 5 in a row. Well,
you really get the sense that we are in a solar system on a planet orbiting in a disk.
Yeah,
you see all the planets there. So that's coming up toward the end of June. Now, before that, this Monday, the May the 30th, and again, I got to be careful here, is a possible meteor shower. And the reason I got to be careful is because these are notorious for being fickle. It likely will be a no-show, but there are some models that are predicting that it could be spectacular. So again, Memorial Day, if you're willing to stay up late, all you got to do is walk outside and look up, and you could see meteors.
Now, Jeremy, you reminded me of like weather forecasts, because the other day they said it's going to be partly cloudy, and I live and die by the weather because I work outside most of the time. And sure enough, by the afternoon, it was supposed to be cloudy, and it just started pouring rain. Well, is it that way with meteor prediction? Do they ever get it where they didn't really predict much of anything, and all of a sudden you get this really great meteor shower. Is it just sort of hit or miss in that game, or
more or less? Now, in 1966, there was a spectacular meteor storm. Some of our members saw this. If you can imagine a sci-fi movie where you're traveling at warp speed and the stars are streaking by, it was essentially that experience.
Yeah.
There was another one in 1830, and again, some of our members saw that one as well. So they don't happen often, but occasionally you'll get not only a meteor shower, but a meteor storm. Do I think that's going to happen Monday night? Probably not. But if there's at least the possibility, then it's at least worth checking out. And there are some models that are predicting that it could happen.
Okay.
Okay, well, the one thing I want to point out is we're not wandering into the asteroid belt.
Right.
Right. When we say meteor shower, we're talking about general space debris. In this case, it's the debris behind a comet.
Right.
That went by.
Walkman 3. Correct.
Right. So this is a comet that went sailing by, and comets are basically dirty frozen rocks, and they've lots of little specks of stuff behind them, and that's what generally gives us the more interesting meteor showers,
right?
Because it is very small particles falling to Earth. Could be little pieces of ice, could be rock, could be grains of sand. It could be anything left over from this comet. So we're not being fired upon.
Mm-mm.
This is not one of the bug movies or something where they're giant asteroids are coming down on us. This is space stuff.
Yeah.
Space junk.
Yeah. And that's but Jeremy, as I recall, when you were here last month, you said there was quite a number of celestial phenomena we're going to get this year, right? I mean, just before the end of the year, because we already got the lunar eclipse, which I want to ask you about in a minute. But,
yeah, that actually turned out pretty well.
Do you got a checklist here of things that people can mark their calendar?
Well, May 30 again, possible meteor shower. June 24, planetary alignment, and then it's really toward the end of the year where we see another lunar eclipse in in November. And then Mars occultation, the moon occulting Mars on December the 7th. So
then
we got a couple
of that
ones.
one.
Yeah,
it's gonna be cold. That's the one where the moon just slowly passes in front of Mars.
Yeah,
and slowly, because I don't know. That one doesn't do it for me, Jeremy. Sorry. Don't roll your eyes at me.
I'm actually looking forward to that one. What makes
I'm just saying, I can see Joe tapping his watch. He's like, "Come on, Mars."
Something. Yeah, come on. But okay. But the planetary alignment. How long does they? I guess I'm wondering. Can you actually track the movement on that, or is that going to be something that's very brief? Or
it's very brief. Again, it'll be early in the morning, like 4:30, 5 o'clock, just before sunrise. Okay. Mercury will be hard to spot because it's so low on the horizon, but it will be a spectacular naked eye event because you can see Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. If you have a telescope, you can find Uranus too. Basically, all of the planets in alignment.
I mean, that is unusual. So it is cool when you look through there, but I know you'll have your telescope, I'm sure.
Well, that might actually just be a naked eye event, even for someone like me.
No binoculars, not even?
Well, I might have the telescope out to see if I can find Uranus, because that one's not naked eye visible. But
okay.
Again, you don't need a telescope for that one.
The one thing, and I don't want to harp on this too much, but these flat Earth guys, I'm like, okay, you do these, I mean, to me, it's just as obstinate as you can be, because you sit there. I've been to your observing sessions, Jeremy. You sit there and you're looking at Saturn, and you almost you're watching it drift across the lens, and then they have to readjust the thing, and they drift. Well, there's a reason. It's because we're rotating on this giant spaceship flying through, that it's round. I just don't get the
remember their website. They have members all over the globe.
Yeah.
There you go. That's all you need to know.
No.
Members all over
they
the
have
globe.
members all around the globe.
Yeah.
Quote them correctly if we're going to mock them correctly.
Yeah, no kidding. But Jeremy, the other thing I'm wondering, because there was a time in history where we thought, I forgot what it's called. Is it the heliocentric? We thought it was taught that basically everything revolved around Earth, but then they started studying the movements. Was this planetary alignment sort of a trigger for wait, the solar system looks completely different than what we thought? Was that a force in this, or
the motion planet is literally a term that means wanderer. It's a Greek term.
Oh, I didn't
These
know
are the
that.
wandering stars.
That's interesting.
And it really it marks the foundation of all of science, because mankind's nearly 3,000-year struggle to understand and model the complex motion of the planets across the night sky is really where we get science from. It took a long time to figure this out. And it was a geocentric model that we sort of was mankind's understanding of how the universe worked. Aristotle, who actually proved that the Earth is a sphere, that's another discussion, but he thought the Earth was too big to move, so everything had to move around the Earth.
Yeah.
Now, the stars, sun, and moon are easy to understand, but the planets are very complex because they go through these retrograde motions. We understand now the reason why is because the sun is at the center and we all go around the sun.
Right.
But mankind's struggle to understand that led to the laws of logic and ultimately the laws of physics that mark the foundations of science.
Yeah. I'm going to get a little heavy, Jeremy, real quick. I just want to say, I want to get on my soapbox here because we don't do this often, but I'm a Catholic. And one of the misunderstandings, I think, came from the notion that people reading the Bible as though it's a science textbook. You don't read the Bible for science or whatever, but I think that's what led to the whole notion of the Earth is at the center of everything and we can't possibly rotate around everything. I think that was sort of a struggle for a while.
Well, it's the common sense view. So is flat Earth. I mean,
right.
Think about thousands of years ago where there was no technology and the furthest that you could go was the furthest that anybody could walk. But around the 300 BC or around that time period, Aristotle, who was a pupil of Alexander the Great, or was Alexander the Great,
his student, yeah.
Alexander the Great was a pupil of Aristotle, and Alexander the Great had conquered the known world. And there were people south of the Nile who saw a different set of stars in the night sky than people up in Greece.
Sure.
And that's how they deduced that we had to be on a sphere.
You just triggered back.
It was Aristotle who was the student of Plato.
Right.
I just wanted to correct you on that.
Yeah, philosophy major Max knows these things. So no, you're right. But they were traveling in the same circles. Let's put it that way. So
no pun intended.
Yeah, but this is the kind of discussions you get when you go to the Memphis Astronomical Society meeting. So
just sit next to Joe.
Yeah. Hey, Jeremy, I had another question. Sorry, but last month, not last month, a couple weeks ago, was the lunar eclipse that you told us about, May 15th. Mm-hmm. And this one was interesting. This one was, I think a lot of people really took notice of this. You could go outside and you watched this shadow passing in front of the moon, and then it turned sort of red, and it stayed that way for quite a while. But it got me thinking, if you were on the surface of the moon, what would you be seeing? Because that part of it I didn't hear a lot about. So,
yeah, it's an interesting question. Basically, if you were standing on the moon when it entered the umbra of the Earth's shadow during a total lunar eclipse, you would essentially see a dark disk surrounded by a very thin orangish-red circle. And that's basically sunlight penetrating the layers of the Earth's atmosphere. Now, the Earth's atmosphere scatters the blue light. That's why we see the sky as blue. But the reds and the oranges pass through. So basically what you would be seeing on the surface of the moon is every sunrise and every sunset on Earth simultaneously.
What did that mean? Wait, I don't get it. Every sunrise, so you're seeing it. Oh, I got you. So, okay, sorry. The Earth's rotating. You're seeing the atmosphere, but that's why it turned it red.
Right, because, again, the Earth's atmosphere is mostly nitrogen. Nitrogen scatters blue light. That's why we see the sky as blue on a clear day like today.
Right.
But the oranges and the reds, they pass through. So we would be seeing sunlight passing through the layers of the Earth's atmosphere in kind of an orangish red color. And essentially that's what you see when you see either a sunrise or a sunset.
So it gets really spectacular when you've got a good flat line out there like over water, and you can really see the actual penultimate event as it begins to rise, and you get that little orange glow and it begins pushing up. It's quite spectacular. So we actually had an opportunity here with a nice size moon and a good clear sky for an unusual change to really get the full effect.
Yeah, I don't know what everybody else got, but we had great visibility here in the Mid-South.
It was a cloudy night. It looked like it was going to be a wash, but it did clear up about midway through the partial eclipse, and we were actually able to see all of Max eclipse. Now, I want to mention one other thing. We have a video of this on our YouTube channel. During Max eclipse, you can actually see the moon moving against the background stars.
That sounds cool. Like time lapse or something?
Right. Occulting stars. You really get the sense of the moon as a world moving through space.
It's awesome. Cool. So, Jeremy, tell us once again how to be. I guess people have to log on to this one, but how do they get involved with the next meeting?
Go to our website, memphisastro.org. There's a link to the Zoom call. All you got to do is click on that link. And again, we'll post it on our YouTube channel also at Memphis Astronomical Society, YouTube.
But going forward, we can look for the in-person meetings again, which is kind of what we like.
Oh, yeah. No, we'll be back at the Mosh Planetarium.
Yeah. And you have other events. It's a good. I like your email list too. Get on their email list because you get updates on all of the. You don't spam us too much. You just give us the info.
Try not to spam you at all.
Anyway, well, Jeremy, it's great having you on, and I guess we'll see you next month. But we'll see you next week at the Memphis Astronomical meeting. You're listening to Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk 98.9 The Roar Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to visit with our buddy Jessie Gaston from Anime Blues Con.
Geek Tank Radio. Oh no! News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
Max really likes that one up. I think that wakes people up in their car to remind them that we're back on the air. Right,
no,
Max?
It's also because we had an anime. It's an anime reference.
Yeah, that's a good point. It does sound very anime-y. Anyway, welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And we're going to be introducing our guest in just a moment. But a little point of business, you guys. If you want to come visit us in person, we've got 2 weeks in a row where we're going to be on location, Brandon.
I'm kind of really excited about both of these. And normally you tell me it's like, well, we're going to go to a place. And it's like, I'm going to have to be somewhere where I'm dressed nice instead of, studio clothes.
I have to wear pants.
And then
okay.
No, I always wear pants.
Yeah, okay.
They just may have holes.
Yeah.
But we're going to go to the Italian festival on next week.
Right.
That's June 2nd through 4th.
We'll be there on the 4th, which is Saturday. Yeah, it's an unusual. It's instead of like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's Thursday through Saturday. Yeah. But that's how they've always done it.
It's all good because we'll be there on the best day, which is Saturday.
Saturday's rocking.
And you guys are going to do Tool Talk Radio first thing that morning, and then I'll be there later to do Geek Tank, and I think we're going to have the Motor Mouths.
I think Motor Mouths is going to be
live. Some food dude is loose in the place.
Brandon. He doesn't count. He's always going to be there.
Yeah. Well, aren't you and Allan kind of going to do some special things for?
We've said that we will, but it's a surprise.
Okay. And then also, folks, don't think that we've somehow forgotten about the fact that Kenobi came out and the Andor trailer and all of this action. We'll get to that in our next episode. Don't worry, folks.
Right now we are nose deep in Star Wars Celebration this weekend. Right. So we're going to have so much more to cover. And we don't want to leave anything out, so we're going to hold all that until next week.
And it is the 45th anniversary of Star Wars,
which is
this week.
Crazy, man.
But next week, the week after the Italian Fest, we are going to be at Anime Blues Con.
Anime Blues Con down at the Renaissance Center. First thing we've done since they've opened that back up.
Right.
It's going to be awesome.
So here to talk about that, because let's face it, this is what we live for. I mean, we haven't been able to go to Anime Blues since 2019. So the fact that they're back, and it is, full disclosure, they are the biggest convention in the Mid-South. So we brought in one of their directors. I don't even know what to title to give her, but we got Jessie Gaston.
She who must be obeyed.
An old friend of us. So Jessie, what is your title? I mean, you kind of do everything.
It should be Jack of all trades, master of none.
Right.
But you've mastered a few over the years.
Yeah.
I would hope at this point. We've done it for 10 years. So that's long enough. No, my official title would be the director of adult programming.
Okay, because you guys are sort of an all ages thing. Yeah, you're.
No, what he means is that you range all the different age categories.
Yes.
Yeah, it's funny because that's hardly what I mean. At one point, you were the con chair, right?
Yeah, for a couple of years there, and it's hard work. Let me tell you. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, it's a lot of work. It's way more work than people would. And you have to have a certain personality type to do it, or you literally will have a nervous breakdown, don't you think?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you just have to be so organized, but you also have to be able to stay cool in any situation, which taxes on you after a few years.
See, I wasn't expecting all that when Joe handed the reins, the chairman reins over to me a few years ago, but I started walking around with a big frat paddle.
Yeah.
Because that's
Brandon
the easiest way to
started-
keep people quiet.
Yeah, he gets ready. You know, this is the complaint department here. Talk to
Talk to the paddle.
I'm told I'm naturally intimidating, but I don't believe that.
I've seen your husband cower. Yes, you are.
He's not scared of me.
Well, we don't want to give away all your trade secrets, but the truth is, Jessie, you are a little intimidating because you're not afraid to say what's on your mind. You look people dead in the eye, but we both know Jessie's kind of a big softie. But
yeah.
you use you use the tools that you've got. You've got that dead eye stare, and when you got to use it, you do it, right? So
I mean,
Well,
I've
you know,
had to.
You have
Yeah.
that mafia flip over switch, and
Oh, yeah.
it's
It's
that-
like this customer service to me being at home.
right. Yeah, the mommy voice comes
Mm-hmm.
out. Right.
So, Jessie, you said it's your 10th year. It's not really fair to say that because you've been around. It's funny. We started at the same time. You actually our first convention was 2010, the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention. However, you all are actually older than us because you began planning yours back in, I want to say 2008, and then your first convention was 2010. But you had to take 2 years off.
Yeah,
obviously,
it was either
so.
2008 or 2009 that we started working towards creating the convention. I can't remember at this point. I think I've blocked out everything that happened before year 5.
Okay. Well,
okay.
Jessie,
That's always a good way to remember it.
I give you a lot of credit, you and George Min and Allan Vu and everybody, but we've been at every Anime Blues. We were at the first Anime Blues Con over at the Hilton, and we said, I think every one of us said, this does not look like a first-year convention. You had a big crowd. It was well-structured. You avoided a lot of the pitfalls that other conventions fall into. It was a really well-produced event, and I got to give you a lot of credit on that.
Well,
So-
I think we were lucky because a lot of people who are in our original director group already had con running experience. We weren't starting with a bunch of people who'd never done it before.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean it's and it's held up that well. And now, like we say, you're over at the Renaissance Center. Have you taken the tour? I'm assuming you have.
yeah.
Pretty nice.
It's really nice, and I love how big the hallways are now. It's fantastic.
Oh, they widened the hallway because it did get a little bottlenecked in there.
yeah,
so.
I love that part the most.
Okay. Well, hey, Jessie, the other thing is what's new since the last time you were on the air with us is that we're over here at Cumulus, and we're always conscious of the fact that each week we get new listeners. And I wonder if people even know what an anime convention looks like, and we want them to show up for it. And so can you kind of paint a picture of what it's really hard to explain what this is, but,
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things you have to go and experience to really get it. But I mean, what you can expect when you come to our convention in particular, but of course every convention really, is you're going to have plethoras of panels and workshops going over different sorts of topics relating to anime and pop culture and Japanese culture. You're going to have a huge exhibit hall with artists and vendors, and they're going to focus primarily, of course, on Asian and Japanese type products. And you're going to have our digital game room, which we have arcade cabinets as well as just regular different kinds of video games that you can do, like your Xbox and PlayStation and stuff like that. But we also have an analog gaming room for people who enjoy tabletop gaming. We have a really great guy coming in who sells and runs the games. We also have game tournaments. We also have a maid cafe.
Wait. Slow down, though, Jessie. That gaming, your video gaming is impressive. I mean, it blows anything away I've seen. It's lots of space and every kind of game, right?
Well, yeah, and because I think we do two things. We have our own in-house person who does a lot of the console gaming, but then we work with a company called Snow Phoenix, and they bring in all the arcade cabinets, and they are fantastic.
They're great. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I cut you off, but
No,
I didn't
you're
want you
good.
to undersell that. That's a big point.
Oh,
so.
yeah. It's a lot of fun, especially if you enjoy video games, to be able to do it with everybody else. And if you're interested in tournaments, it's a great chance to go and do it in a really kind of safe environment.
Yeah. What is this maid cafe, though? I know what it
Maid
is,
cafe.
but explain it.
So a maid cafe is a Japanese cultural phenomenon, essentially, where you have women and men who are dressed up as maids and butlers. And they serve you, drinks and snacks, but they also entertain with dances and songs and games and stuff like that.
Very tastefully.
Yes, very tastefully. It's definitely an all ages kind of thing. So nothing to worry about there. And our group that's coming this year is particularly interesting because they have an RPG slant. So they come in with kind of a Dungeons and Dragons thing
Role-playing
on top
game.
of the maid cafe. Yeah, it's really cool.
So they're in character, basically.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, yep. Okay. Keep going. That sounds interesting.
And I think really the big thing, though, a lot of people come for is the guests. We have lots of voice actors and cosplayers and professional panelists that we bring in. And most people, that's the thing they want to see when they meet their favorite voice actor and get their autograph and hang out with them. And
then a lot of these voice actors, they do anime, but they might turn up in other projects that you're not aware of. Like they may be in a Transformers movie. They may be the voice of some character on a live action show or something.
Right,
but yeah,
right. They do a lot of different stuff.
And Johnny Young Bosch, he's did I say his name right?
Yeah, that's correct.
He's also a musician too.
Yes, he's a musician. He's also an ex-Power Ranger.
Allan, there you go, buddy. No, but he's a very popular guest. When I've been watching your Facebook posts, and when I think when you announced him, a lot of people flipped their lid. They were pretty excited. So.
And we've had him before in our early years. That's one of the few things I haven't blocked out from the first 5 years.
Yeah.
So he's been with us before, but it's been a good gap of time. So we're glad to have him back.
Yeah, I feel like for the outsiders, the way I would almost present a convention, it's just imagine a gigantic house and the whole thing is a party. And in some rooms, they're dedicated to people are having a nice conversation about something. And of course, the focus is going to be whatever the genres are. And then in another room is sort of like the vendor room is where I feel like there's the highest energy there, and that's where you can buy things. And it's
oh yeah,
you are being so nice to the energy of a convention.
Yeah,
I like to put it this way.
Okay,
you go into an 8-year-old boy's bedroom and you move the bed. Everything underneath there, that's a convention.
Okay, that's pretty.
Party down there.
You're going to see action figures. You're going to see comic books. You're going to see. Strangely enough, there might be some critters running around, and you don't know what they're dressed up as, but they're definitely looking different.
Yeah,
and that is probably the oddest yet most succinct definition of that I've ever seen.
I'm going to use that from now on. That's
description. Well, and the fun thing, like when you do a lot of conventions, Brandon and I travel, and we've all been around that kind of stuff. It's always fun. You're driving into a strange city. And you're like, okay, where's the hotel? Where's the event? Where's the there goes 2 Jedi and a pony. All right, we're here.
Oh, that's right. There's always this blast radius.
Follow the trail of cosplay.
There's always kind of this little ant trail effect around the event. And it's kind of a warm, happy feeling. You're like, oh, look.
You know what I've noticed
There's
about
a lot of glitter over there. That's got to be us. We got to be there.
It might be me personally if it's glitter.
You're exactly right. You go to, especially when you go to one that you haven't been to before. I remember I went to MTAC, Middle Tennessee Anime Convention, when they moved to a new hotel. And we're like, okay, well, that was before we had GPS, and we're looking around, and it's like, oh, wait, there's like 50 bumper stickers right there that all have, geek stuff. Yeah. Then you start seeing, like you said, the trail of cosplayers, and it gives you a comfort.
You can follow the glitter.
If you want to find a really good parking space when you're going around a convention, get behind whatever vehicle has the coexist, bumper sticker
with all the
geek symbols.
Yeah,
they will actually pass the good space.
Oh, really?
And then you take it.
Okay.
I haven't been this lucky.
I noticed it the first time at Mid-South Con years ago when they had first moved to the Hilton.
Yeah. Yep.
If there's somebody there, they're going to take a farther space, but they're going to go past a good one. So, yeah, follow them.
And Jessie, I would say, too, if you're somebody that's just, because maybe you're like, well, I don't know that I'm interested in anime. Well, for one thing, you all cover a lot more, but it's also the people watching experience. And then if you want to just meet new and interesting and highly intelligent, a lot of young people too. If you want to meet people, this is such a great place to do it. It's a really unique experience. I haven't met anybody that has not been excited when they get to a convention. There's always something that they find, that appeals to them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you don't have, as you said, you don't have to have any interest in Japanese culture, anime, to enjoy yourself at an anime convention. It's just amazing to talk to people, even if you don't understand what they're doing. They have just so much passion and knowledge for what they're doing that it's infectious. You just can't help but get excited too.
Yeah, absolutely. And then people might go, well, panel discussions, what's that all about? Well, technically, I guess you could call it, so you go into a room, it's going to be set up probably theater style, there's going to be speakers. Well, a lot of them they're very interactive, right?
Yeah.
If you care about something, you get to get involved in
yeah.
the conversation.
Oh, for sure, because we do all kinds of panels. It's not just a lecture. A lot of times,
Right.
it's an interactive panel where people can actually discuss ideas and philosophies and just different topics pertaining to whatever the panel is about. But we do hands-on workshops too, especially with our Cosplay University track, where we focus on hands-on cosplay workshops. So getting to learn how to do the different sewing or casting or prop making techniques.
Yeah. And let's face it, we're the types. We'll be there the entire weekend. We've seen it. My kids have been going to conventions since they're little, and people were like, "How can you spend, 30 hours or something in a weekend at an event?" Well, you can, because it's just you don't want to leave. And I do. It's funny. Sometimes you'll be at a convention and you see people like they walk up to you and they're out of breath or they're whatever, and it's like, well, what's up with you? Well, I've just been posing for a bunch of pictures, and I just ran to this, and I got to get to this panel over here, and it's a hive of activity, and you better pace yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
And drink water.
Please drink water, please. If it's your first time, eat and drink water. That's the biggest thing I can always tell people, and besides, of course, wearing deodorant.
And the truth of a convention comes out. There we go.
To be fair, most people do now. Like,
Thank
that's been such a
goodness.
stigma over the years that people shower and do.
But
Don't worry
that
about
old
it.
Fritos hint hasn't been around in a couple of years.
But one thing we say, I've judged cosplay contests. I know you've hosted many.
I've judged a lot too.
And the thing is those costumes, doesn't matter how much deodorant you put, those are sweaty.
In June,
and you are under a bunch of lights. So if there is someone that you always have a nice friend by who can go, all right, we're gonna have to take you and get you.
We need to
we got to get the top off so that you can.
This is why you always come with a handler.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, one thing I will say too, and we've been pretty good about this. When if you can, it's a good idea to get a hotel room. You don't necessarily have to have it for the whole weekend. Even if you live here in town, it's a real treat to just stay at the event. And it's usually pretty affordable. You all get room blocks, right? Now, is it too late to get in on that?
Yeah, our room block sold out a little while ago. However, you can call the Sheraton and ask them what's available, because there are still rooms. It's just our block was sold out. So there's still room downtown.
That adds to the fun. And we've seen this, too, where you get, okay, if you've got 2 beds, technically 4 people can stay there. However, it's not unheard of that 6 or 7 people team up, and
I did that as a teenager. Don't do it again. I will never do it again. It's just me and my husband, and that is it. Everyone else get out.
No, because you won't sleep. Everybody.
I mean, I don't sleep anyway.
Yeah,
I have to work the whole time.
It adds to the experience, though. There is something to be said where you can bring your change of clothes, you can bring a few snacks if you just want to get away for.
Think of it as your base of operation.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially if you got to change clothes often.
And it's a storage locker, because you're going to buy a lot of stuff down in that vendor room.
Yes.
You're going to say you're not going to, but you will.
You will every time it happens.
Well, the other thing I'm going to throw into this, especially an anime convention, and this is for your just run-of-the-mill casual visitor to a convention, I do a TV show called It Came from the International Market, and the vendor room is an experience, especially when, if you've never tried certain types of snacks or sodas, there's a substance out there called Pocky.
Everybody's.
And that is like the fuel food of an anime convention.
For the 16-year-old weeaboo, yes.
What's the Japanese soda that you have to pop the ball? Ramune and Pocky. That's the hot.
With the little glass marble that you pop.
That you pop in, and food becomes its own experience at these things.
Absolutely.
And if you don't know what Pocky is, it is a little bit of shortbread dipped in something. Mm-hmm. There are at least 100 different flavors.
Oh God, there's so many. I can never keep up. Chocolate is, of course, the classic.
47,000.
And for some reason,
you've been to the international market.
I have.
It's like Kit Kats.
It's scary.
There's a million flavors.
Yeah. It's kind of scary.
Which is funny because people who've only had American Kit Kats,
they don't understand.
When you hand them something like a matcha Kit Kat, they're like, "Why is it great?"
I've had a champagne Kit Kat.
That's amazing.
Oh,
the horchata Kit Kat. You'll hurt your neighbor for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And strawberry Kit Kats, people will fight each other.
Yeah.
They finally actually released those in America with the strawberry and dark chocolate.
Yeah.
But they're still not as good as the ones from Japan.
No, the ones from Japan are always better. It's the same thing with authentic Japanese haichus are better than the Americanized ones.
For some reason, teenage kids just lose their mind over Pocky. I mean, you can't keep enough of it there. It just gets sold out.
Here's
That
the thing.
apparently is their meal, though, and
Yeah.
they really need to eat like something a little extra.
Something with a
protein.
little protein and
Yeah,
something
get a
other than
slice of
sugar
pizza,
and a
please.
carb.
Pocky,
Right, yeah.
Pocky is the weeb version of a protein bar.
Yeah.
Essentially,
It gives you that nice little boost of energy.
Yeah.
And then you're going to crash in about 3 hours.
yeah. So
One
please
night-
eat more than Pocky.
Yeah. One nice thing about Anime Blues, too, especially with your location, Jesse, is the fact that it has nothing to do with weather. There's none of this weather permitting stuff. It could be pouring rain, and you're fine because you pull in. It's covered parking.
Yep.
You can walk right into the convention space. You can leave. It's, so it's you don't have to worry about that part of the
There's a
of the
skywalk
weekend.
between the Sheraton and the convention center, so you literally never have to go outside if you choose not to.
You can either get food there. I know you all have you have concessions, and then
Yeah.
or you can get Uber Eats or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But let's just all admit, one of the greatest things about you guys being downtown in Memphis is watching the parade of cosplayers and the people freaking out because they just saw Sub-Zero walk down the street,
Yeah.
Yeah.
head to the convention.
It's always fun with the normal people,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
business person that's in town for the, it's like, what the heck?
the lawyer who's coming out of the courthouse and he sees, wait, that's the Power Rangers.
There's a whole
What-
pack
what-
of Disney princesses walking down
Oh,
the
yeah.
street. What
Yeah.
is happening?
Right.
Yeah.
That's very similar to a pack of wolves.
And
You
I
just
would
avoid
say-
those.
I would say
They're
this.
wolves.
One thing I would say, I really try to sell this point. If you're somebody that wants, if you're a unique gift giver, if your whole thing at Christmas is you want to be the one that gives that unique gift, you cannot beat a convention. You can get original artwork. You can get one-of-a-kind collectibles, and it's usually very affordable.
You
and,
wanna- yeah,
and you
you
get
wanna
to
be
meet
the-
the artist that made it.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, honestly, buying art is my favorite thing.
Yeah.
You want to be a hero.
I-
You want to be a hero for your 14-year-old.
Right.
You get something signed and created specifically for your beloved. And Brandon's
Yeah.
over there counting fingers right now.
I'm thinking about, it's like I collect lanyards.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm trying to think about how many lanyards I've bought specifically from Anime BluesCon over the years. And I don't think I've ever walked out of your convention without at least 3 new lanyards.
I think that's a lot of people with plushies.
Yeah.
Now I'm
Same
thinking
thing.
of it. You could get like the ultimate. Okay, so you got like Martheus Wade. He's usually set up there. He's a big Power Rangers fan. Well, he could draw Johnny Young Bosch's character.
Oh, yeah.
You get Martheus and then Johnny Young Bosch to autograph it for your Power Ranger fan. Boom. You
Right.
know.
That's a one-of-a-kind gift you're never going to get
You're
anywhere
one
else.
and done.
Yeah. So no, lots of fun. But now, there's pre-registration, but that's closed. That's now we would encourage you anytime you're going to a convention. It's always a good deal if you can take advantage of ordering your tickets in advance, right?
Absolutely.
You know?
Plus, it's easier, and you have the benefit of being able to come in on Thursday evening before the convention starts and pick up your ticket early.
No lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're ready to go Friday morning when everything's starting.
So that-
However, I'm going to point out there's still a lot of questions and a lot of things that can be answered by going online.
yeah.
Where do they need to go?
www.animeblues.com. You can find pretty much any answer you need right there.
Okay, and tickets are available at the door. We'll be there, and Jesse, you'll be running around, quote. I mean, yeah, I love it. Your
Calmly.
director of adult thing. Really, she doesn't sleep the whole weekend.
Nope.
You're pulled in a million directions. But man, we are so glad you're back because it's just been. There's been this void, the last couple of years because that's the big summer event we look forward to. So
Yeah, I'm glad we're back.
yeah, it's great, and the Renaissance Center is beautiful, and I'm kind of interested in seeing these expanded hallways because that's where I think we're going to be set up.
Yeah. And honestly, not to make everything about us, but that really does kick off our planning for MCFC.
That's
is
true.
That weekend, as we're finishing up, promoting it, Anime Blues, that means I have to get to work.
Yeah, that's true. Jesse.
Glad we're your calendar.
If you live in the Mid-South, really, there is so much geek activity. You start off the year with ShadowCon in January, then you got Mid-South Con in March, then you've got Anime Blues, you got the Comic Expo, you got us.
You left
there's
out Winter
real-
Remix.
And
which
Winter
is
Remix,
It's
I'm
a
sorry.
whole different animal without being a whole different animal.
Absolutely. So we hope we'll see you there, and it's a lot of fun. And Jesse, it's great. It's always great having you on. Try to get some sleep, my friend, between now and then.
I'll try.
Anyway, we'll be there for sure, and I can't wait. Allan's going to be dressed up like the guy from what?
He's going to be dressed up like a guy in a Dickies work shirt.
Okay. Anyway, but we're out of time, you guys. No more time. So until let me try that again. Max, edit that out. So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
I'm Allan Gilbreth.
I'm Jessie Gaston.
I'm Maximilian it.
And I am Brandon Olmstead, reminding you that we don't really need a tagline because Joe messed us up.
Yeah. Edit that whole thing out, Max.